For nearly 40 years, we've been told a lie about Jim Henson's Labyrinth. Sarah Williams defeats the evil Goblin King. She rescues her baby brother. She grows up. Hero's journey complete. Roll credits. Except that's not what happens. Jareth never kidnapped anyone. Sarah is the architect of the entire labyrinth, and Jareth is her prisoner, forced to play villain in a teenager's fantasy because she wished it into existence. Fans have sensed this for years. The theory floats around on forums and comment sections. Sarah's the real villain. Jareth is trapped, but it's always been vibes, intuition without a whole lot of evidence. Today we're locking it down, line by line, timestamp by timestamp. We're building the case that proves who really holds the power in the Goblin City. Let's start with the most damning evidence. Listen to what Jareth says during the final confrontation.
Everything that you wanted, I have done. You asked that the child be taken. I took him. You cowered before me. I was frightened. I have reordered time. I have turned the world upside down. And I have done it all for you. I am exhausted from living up to your expectations.
Listen to that again. I have done it all for you. Not I did this to punish you or I took what I wanted. He's exhausted from living up to her expectations. Villains don't talk like this, but servants complain like this. The film doesn't begin with a kidnapping, it begins with a rehearsal. Sarah stands in a park reciting lines from a book called The Labyrinth. She's practicing a confrontation with a Goblin King, repeating the same dramatic monologue over and over.
Through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered. Through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered.
Are identical to what she uses to defeat Jareth in the end.
Through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered.
The entire adventure is pre-scripted. Sarah keeps forgetting the final line of her monologue. She stumbles through it multiple times.
For my will is as strong as yours. My kingdom is great. Damn. I can never remember that line.
And the line she can't remember, you have no power over me.
You have no power over me.
She has the book with her. She could just read it, but she doesn't want to remember it yet because speaking those words would end the game before it starts. By suppressing the final line, she creates the need for conflict. She manufactures the dangers untold that make her the tragic heroine of her own story. Jareth only appears after Sarah's domestic frustration reaches a breaking point. She's angry at her stepmother and resentful about babysitting, drowning in self-pity.
I can't do anything right, can I?
Then she explicitly summons him.
I wish the goblins would come and take you away.
Notice what happens before she gets the words right. She tried different versions.
Goblin King, wherever you may be, take this child of mine far away from me.
And nothing happens. The goblin even mocks her.
Excellent, that rubbish. It didn't even start with I wish.
She is directing the scene, getting her actors to hit their marks. When the first take fails, she adjusts her delivery and tries again. Jareth doesn't invade her world, he's summoned by a verbal contract that she initiated. He operates within the rules of her fantasy. The original screenplay draft reveals something crucial. In Terry Jones and Laura Phillips's early versions, Jareth enters Sarah's house disguised as a playwright named Robin Zakar, literally the author of the play Sarah is rehearsing. The character drinks her parents' liquor and performs cheap magic tricks to impress her. Even though this subplot was cut, the DNA remains. Jareth plays a role, the glam rock villain, because that's the archetype Sarah finds compelling. He's a construct of narrative arts, literally the writer she invented to give her life a plot. Examine what Jareth actually does throughout the film, because his behavior doesn't match his supposed role as an all-powerful villain.
Well, he's a lively little chap. I think I'll call him Jareth.
He gives her 13 hours to solve the labyrinth.
You have 13 hours in which to solve the labyrinth before your baby brother becomes one of us forever.
Why? If he wanted to keep Toby, why give her any time at all? A true villain would simply lock the door, but Jareth provides what he calls generous terms, a sporting chance to win her back. When they first meet, he offers this.
I've brought you a gift.
What is it?
It's a crystal, nothing more. But if you turn it this way, look into it, It'll show you your dreams.
He shows her visions of her dreams, offers her everything she wants. When she refuses, he sets up the Labyrinth challenge. But he also provides helpers, Hoggle, Ludo, and Sir Didymus. These creatures guide her, protect her, and ensure that she survives. The Labyrinth is dangerous enough to feel like an adventure, but never actually deadly. The purpose isn't to stop her, the purpose is to let her win.
We're helping hands.
Think about the 13-hour time limit. Jareth claims he can reorder time, but the clock in the castle stays synchronized with real time, the exact length of her babysitting shift while her parents are out.
We do have to leave now, but we'll be back around midnight.
The fantasy must conclude before they return home. Real time, Sarah's parents' schedule governs the universe, not Jareth's magic. Jareth is more like the lifeguard at the pool, making sure that she doesn't drown while playing in the deep end. Throughout the film, Jareth appears exhausted. He watches her progress, intervenes when necessary, and performs his villain role with increasing wariness. There's even a scene where he looks genuinely confused by her rejection of his gifts.
Just let me rule you.
He doesn't stalk her like a predator, he acts like a servant confused about why his employer keeps changing the requirements. The masquerade ball sequence is typically read as Jareth's attempt to seduce Sarah, but if Sarah is the architect, that ballroom scene is just her own adolescent fantasy given form. She narrates it herself in the story she tells Toby.
But what no one knew was that the king of the goblins had fallen in love with the girl, and he had given her certain powers. So one night, when the baby had been particularly cruel to her, called on the goblins for help.
She writes the romance. She dictates his feelings. In the ballroom, she sees herself in the mirror dancing with him. It's a narcissistic fantasy. She's not entranced by him, she's entranced by herself with him. Jareth's role in the dream is passive. He stands and waits. He sings about devotion and service, promising to be there for her. When the fantasy becomes too intense, too adult, and too real, Sarah shatters it on her own. Jareth doesn't trap her there, she traps herself until she decides to leave. The entire labyrinth operates on Sarah's emotional schedule. When she's frustrated, obstacles appear. When she needs validation, friends arrive. When she wants drama, Jareth manifests to provide opposition. The world bends to her subconscious needs. The junk lady scene demonstrates this perfectly. Sarah is overwhelmed by her own possessions, her own memories. The junk lady, operated by Jareth's magic according to the script, tries to bury her in nostalgia.
Well, look here.
It was something I was looking for.
Everything in the world you've ever cared about is all right here. This is not junk.
Yes, it is.
This isn't an attack. It's a lesson about letting go of childhood, one Sarah herself needs to learn. Jareth is playing therapist, not torturer. The final confrontation strips away all pretense. Sarah recites her rehearsed monologue, the same lines from the opening park. And watch what Jareth does. He interrupts her, desperately.
Wait, look what I'm offering you. Your dreams.
He's pleading with her, offering her everything, begging her to let the fantasy continue. Then he says the line that reveals his true nature.
I ask for so little. Just let me rule you. You can have everything that you want. Just fear me. Love me. Do as I say, and I will be your slave.
I will be your slave. Not you will be my slave. He's offering to serve her, to give her the kingdom, the dreams, and the power, if only she'll acknowledge him and keep him in her life. He's literally asking permission to exist in her world. When Sarah finally speaks the words,
You have no power over me.
She's not defeating a tyrant. She's dismissing a servant who's outlived his usefulness for the evening. In the original script, Jareth's defeat is even more humiliating. He physically shrinks into a sniveling little goblin and screams, "Why does everything have to happen to me?" A verbatim echo of Sarah's own complaint from earlier. This mirroring confirms that Jareth is Sarah, specifically the immature, complaining part of her that she's trying to conquer. But Sarah never intended to banish him permanently. After returning home, after supposedly growing up and putting away the childish things, Sarah looks in the mirror and says,
I need you, Hoggle. I don't know why, but every now and again in my life, for no reason at all, I need you. All of you.
She invites them all back, All of them. The coming-of-age narrative collapses. She doesn't put away childish things, she admits she can't function without them. As the celebration happens in her room, the camera pans to the window. There's Jareth in his white owl form, watching. He's not defeated, he's on standby, waiting for the next time she's bored, angry, or lonely. He flies away only when he sees she's content with her other fantasies. He's a toy put back on the shelf, ready to be played with when the need arises again. The narrative that we've accepted for 40 years, a brave girl defeating a powerful king, is just a comforting lie. The forensic evidence proves that Sarah is the sole power in the Labyrinth. Jareth is her creation, her servant, and her victim. He kidnapped Toby because she ordered him to. He terrified her because she wished for a story where she was brave. He reordered time because she needed a deadline. When he stood before her, exhausted and pleading to be her slave, he was speaking the literal truth of his existence. Labyrinth isn't a fantasy adventure. It's a psychological horror about a teenager with godlike power over her own mind, tormenting a sentient projection to work through her issues with her stepmother. Jareth is a tragic figure, aware of his own fictional nature, trapped in a loop of performing villainy for someone who hates him for doing exactly what she asked. Sarah's victory wasn't defeating a monster, it was acknowledging the monster was working for her all along. And if this video made you see Labyrinth differently, smash the like button and share it with someone who needs their childhood memories shattered. And hey, while we're talking about toys, check out this Toy Story video I did, because I kinda tried to prove that Sid isn't as bad as you thought he was.